Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year's budget wildly overestimated oil revenues so the Premier could promise the world in the election. This year's bankrupt budget took advantage of a freak event in the oil market to underestimate oil revenues and manufacture a crisis as an excuse to break all those promises. Well, the Premier's bitumen bubble is BS. And by BS, I mean bitumen sham. Because today the gap between the price of Alberta and Texas oil is 23%, smaller than the 7-year average. Some bubble. To the Premier, why did you misinform Albertans by trying to pass off a highly unusual market event?
Honourable Deputy Premier.
Well, Mr. Speaker, while members on this side of the House spent 2 weeks with constituents, obviously this member spent a lot of time coming up with slogans. Unfortunately, they're meaningless. It is not the Premier, it is not the Minister of Finance that comes up himself with the estimates of what the revenues will be, but frankly, Mr. Speaker, the brightest minds in the world and the financial houses throughout the world estimate what the cost of commodities will be into the future. We average, and as a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, on a small c conservative side, and that's how prices are set. Maybe next time there's a constituency break, this gentleman can take some time and learn that.
Honourable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, that's a slogan Premier Klein would have used had he seen this. Given that the price of a barrel of Western Canadian Select is currently higher than the monthly average for 2012, a year when the term bitumen bubble was just a glint in the Premier's eye. To the Premier, why are you attacking vital services such as post-secondary education, K-12, health care, and seniors care? Does it have something to do with the leadership review, or do you just want to punish regular Albertans, students, teachers, their doctors, nurses, and seniors? Why, Premier?
Honourable Minister.
Speaker, I just rose in the previous set of questions and said I'm surprised I haven't got the answer about us lowballing the numbers. Well, now I got it. And so it just goes to prove, Mr. Speaker, that there is a wide variety of pundits who believe they know where the oil price is going to go, but we actually use the experts in the industry, we use private industry forecasts, and while, Mr. Speaker, this honourable member may think that the glut in the North American market, which everyone in the industry sees, is a freak accident, I think he claimed it, Mr. Speaker, this is something that the North American industry understands. Unfortunately, the honourable member does not.
Honourable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this same finance minister told CBC listeners that Alberta, quote, wouldn't get back the differential of January 2012 at any point in the next 3 years, unquote. But, lo and behold, the spread today is actually significantly lower. Significantly lower. To the Premier, was this intellectually and morally bankrupt budget based on profoundly faulty assumptions, or was it based on truth-challenging assertions instead?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member should actually take the whole interview so that he can be truthful to this House, which he is not being right now, Mr. Speaker, because the context of the question that I answered was, in our budget projections, do we get back to the differential of January 2012? The answer, Mr. Speaker, is in our projections, we do not. That was the question that was asked. That's the answer, and it's truthful, not like the question that was just asked.
Honourable Leader.